Check, check. All right. My name is Pendarvis Harshaw. I'm here today with my friend G, and we are talking for Dads Evoking Change, which is a nonprofit assisting fathers in the family law system. All about just making sure fathers out there have proper advice, share a couple of stories, and have a tool belt for when they're trying to step to this thing called fatherhood, day in and day out. So G, thank you for being here today. How you doing?
I'm doing good, fam. I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. We've talked a lot about fatherhood over the years. Your daughter recently celebrated her birthday. Happy birthday to her.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, she just turned 7. That would be Wednesday on the 2nd. Yeah, it was a joyous occasion. You know, it's difficult when like events come up and you don't see your child every day. So making arrangements to even celebrate some things.
Yeah,
Sometimes like it's bittersweet.
Let's just jump into
It's
it.
amazing. Yeah.
You
know me, man.
Yeah,
you brought it up. That's where we at.
What's the key to it? So just bring us into the birthday conversation. Is it a matter of communication, patience? What's the key element?
I mean, well, over time, like, things change, but, some part of the rhythm from the years got to stay and get developed. So it's like she just turned 7. It's not like we haven't had birthday conversations for 6 years, et cetera. So it's not really strenuous. It's just a thing that, kind of just becomes like asinine. Like why do there have to be motions? It can't just be, let's do this or I'm going to do this. There's always something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Man, it's not just birthdays, it's everything. It's everything. It's always some kind of give and take, and there's always something, and I don't want to paint it like in a negative connotation.
Right.
It's just, it becomes just one more thing on that to-do list of, I might have to do this. You know what I'm saying? Another worry as men, women, people, parents, that we just shouldn't have to have, and things should be easier, just to air around it. Even when the relationships are amazing, there's still always some tweaking because there's a lot of outside factors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With single people.
Right. Yeah. Trying to be adults, trying to still live your life, but and at the same time, make sure that you're bringing up your child in a healthy, shared household, co-parenting situation. So I completely understand. Let's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today was methods of dealing with when the stuff hits the fan, and you have to deal with yourself first, and either anger or frustration or just the times when things get tight. What's your method to the madness?
I mean, my personal method for myself it varies. That's really something that's situational, and it kind of goes to each individual what this trigger may cause in you and your measured emotional response to it. That's ultimately the thing. It's difficult to be just in constant control of your emotions, especially with this topic this sensitive. This is like your person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is like the person you thought was your person made your little person. So this is a different heartstring. So every time that chord gets strung, proverbially, the measured response that's not always a measured response.
Yeah.
So when the shit hits the fan, that's deep, because that could be a variety of things. But that depends on what you measure as deep within this relationship.
So
how deep even your little person is to you, because that varies between parent to parent. Not to say people don't love their children, but let's just keep it real. We know the other side. We know dads that don't dad the way we dad. So we're not gonna act like that dynamic doesn't exist, to where some people can just completely ignore it. I'm not one of those people. You're not one of those people. So when you say when shit hits the fan, that could be a lot.
Right. It's a
case
case by case scenario.
You feel me?
Gotcha. Okay, so let's back it up. Back up the conversation before the birthday party and dealing with, tensions and everything. Paint the picture of what it's like being a father, you specifically. Like, what are some of the things you do? What's your daughter like?
I mean, with me personally, man, it's like, it was a very distinct point in my story of where I was already going through an intentional transition in life, that I had orchestrated. So that was in the picture. It was a want, it was a need, you know, it like changed my whole life. Like, because I intentionally wanted to do like a family thing. I wanted to do that, and you know me, I like to go and do, like, I want to decorate the trees and make the vision boards with the kids and throw pillows and glitter all over the house because I've got nothing else to do. Like, ultimately, like, you know, for me, like, at the point I was in my life, I've done a lot of things. You know some of my stories, you've been around to some of my things, you've actually seen me be like 3 different people. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't really have desires, like worldly interactive desires that don't include something like really of mine at this point, or moving toward it at that point 7-8 years ago. That was intentional to like add that dynamic to my life to become, you know, my version of a better me. You know what I'm saying? And fatherhood and family provider, whatever, however you want to slice it, like that was part of the appeal of becoming what I would consider a better me, you know? So moving into me as a father with a kind of weird sort of relationship, it's not what was envisioned, but I wouldn't trade no parts of it, you know? Like, sure, it'd be better if it wasn't the way it is, or
Right.
it'd be better if me and my ex-wife hadn't got divorced or whatever. But ultimately, I have to still ride out what it is the best way possible.
How do you deal with, I don't want to call it resentment because I'm putting it on you, but
Sometimes plan A don't work, and it could be any number of things. And, you know, as an adult, as the man that I am, like, I ultimately know myself very well, and I definitely accept responsibility for the role I played in how things go with me. So it's like, I can't resent it because I did it. And even some things that, you know, we continue to do, you know, over the time. Like I say, through 7 years, there's clearly something. And it's like, the way I deal with it is like, I try to keep it close. I make sure, you know, damn. I don't know. I like to say I do my best, but then sometimes like I'm very critical, and I was like I'm not. Clearly, I'm
I could
not.
have done better.
Yeah, I could still do something different. I choose not to. So I'm also, like I say, I'm conscious and aware and accepting of that fact too, is that there are other measures I could take to do certain things, to be more involved or more active. And then that's where the thought process and the real difficulties lie, is having some balance for everyone. Because it's like, you know, ultimately you have a responsibility still to the other parent, you know, as a person, as a whatever. So it's like accountability for BS within y'all relationship. Cool. How long we been single? At some point, we'd have to distinguish the two conversations for the better of the smaller person and separate our personal shit. That's the difficult part, because that part is still there. Just like the little person, like I said, you still had your big person. Y'all still, so you got, it's 2 separate strings in there getting pulled in every conversation. And it don't matter how much resent or bitterness either person can have, because that string is there. And your triggers, they not on a sign. It don't say this on the art.
It's not that evident.
No, it's situational. It's person to person, and it's not black and white, man. It's one of them things. Like, it's a constant gray area of what ifs, and that's the part that sucks.
Yeah. How do you navigate walking on that metaphor? I'm thinking like thin ice or landmines. Like, how do you walk on that? 'Cause
I've
you have to
actually
keep moving
used that
forward.
word: thin ice, landmines, eggshells, and ultimately you either do it intentionally or you don't. You give a fuck or you don't. You give a fuck sometimes you don't. You give a fuck as much as you can until you can't.
Isn't that backtracking? Where you give a fuck sometimes and you're like,
It's situational.
yeah.
If a person puts you in a situation, you kind of got to choose which energy you give back, because these situations can be very self-destructive. It's your heart. Matters of the heart will destroy you.
Yeah. You keep saying it's the heart, man. I think like for people who aren't familiar with you and your story, and you're like, how you parent? Like, what are some of the things you like to do with your daughter? Like, you keep talking about it, but I've seen it.
Like I said, man, I'm gonna have to keep it real. I make it look good for the gram, but the shit sucks. I mean, yeah, I pack a lot of shit into a weekend.
Yeah,
We do whatever you want.
yeah,
Like, again, they may not know me. I mean this. What do you want to? We're going.
yeah,
We're going right now, and then from there we're gonna go, and then from there we're gonna go, and then we're gonna go home because we're tired, and then we can do it again tomorrow. We could do it from Friday afternoon to Sunday evening, every 2 weeks, because that's
the situation.
how they make it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I go above and beyond that. Like I said, like a lot of people don't know. Like now, like distance, I drive 100 miles to see my daughter, round trip. I'll do that shit willingly on a whim,
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, and I'll drive back home by myself. There's another dynamic that always hurts every time, 'cause that's my heart. So like I said, it's weird. So when you talk about birthdays, that's a part of it. It was Wednesday, midday. She got school. I got to drive, beat traffic, get her from school, have her for a minute, and drop her off to be respectful to the other parent to also birthday after she gets off work. So it's a lot. So when you say, like, what do I like to do? I got to do whatever I got to do on these short amount of times. I got to do whatever I got to do to keep some form of positive communication going to where I can maybe sneak in some more extra time, or I could do something else that also still requires a lot of me. I don't have a whole lot of stuff to do, but I still got stuff to do that can't toss a 2.5 hour round trip with daytime traffic, with the kick it time in there just whenever, like kinda, but that's still a stretch. I'm still an adult. I still have some responsibilities. I make it look good, but
yeah,
like it's difficult to weigh in everything. Like that's a legit line item in my schedule. It's daddy time, and I will throw that shit in
whenever. Yeah,
but that requires adult maneuverability and shit. And even that's another discipline. You know what I'm saying? That you gotta have. That I'm gonna intentionally do this, still keep a positive attitude, and pop up and pick her up and keep it lit, and then drop her off with a smile on my face and get in the car and cry on the way home, maybe.
yeah. I want to get into that cry on the way home in the car.
Play with me, these interwebs.
But no, you say cry in the car jokingly, but it's serious. And
I'm dead ass.
And I want to get to the point about dealing with the like the emotional response, like mental health, and we'll get there. But first, you said something about the time that you're allotted. And I mean, forgive me if I'm prying, like share what you care to. But is this court ordered, or is this something you agreed upon with the co-parent?
I mean, so with the legalities, again, things become situational. I need a drop. It worked. I didn't hear it.
It was scary. That was
what I was going for.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So within like stuff and legalities, I have life of whatever. So sometimes that legal line gets blurred. The way things ended and created my situation create also the beginning of the dynamic. Again, intentional choice. I've chosen to not go back that route because it's not really my style. It could be looked at as the right way to proceed, but it's also not as black and white as that because of the strings. The same strings I got. You got to realize I'm the dude in this situation. So chances are the co-parent has the same strings times 50,000 because that's how women are. And that's why we like them, right? Because they got the other stuff we don't got.
Mm-hmm.
So like you say, you got to tread lightly in certain things. And that particular thing, even though that started our thing, I intentionally made a change to that and was like, we don't really got to do that if we can just talk. And that's what has been seen more in the latter of my thing, the latter of the last 6 years, 5 years since we got divorced. So single since 16, just now hit a year. Oh shit, on my daughter's birthday. It's another dynamic of the string. That's also
the separation happened then, so that's
so
it's a wound there too.
Yeah, so I mean, you got it. Like I said, like the triggers ain't on the wall; they come up in the conversation.
Yeah.
So why am I not fucking crying right now? You got to kind of like who gets to who gets to decide what energy I'm gonna use. me, right? You got to intentionally do that shit.
Yeah.
So I intentionally drove out here to have this conversation. I knew I had to maintain a certain level of composure and dignity, as well as discipline and discretion.
Yeah. Yeah. Again,
You know what I'm saying? Even that, as I'm saying dates, I'm like, shit. I owe myself some money now. Put it in a tip jar. Feel me? Just stop banging on the table. That's not smart.
But going to a second, so I asked about the legalities and I asked about
Let me get back to it.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't even really finish. See, they all triggers.
Yeah.
They all lead to deeper rabbit holes. You end up having to redirect. So we had a thing. It ended up being gradual from like Tuesday, Thursday nonsense, which is like the standards. We started at the standards because of some of the way the separation went with the legalities. We're not going to get too deep into it, but it set a certain precedent to where there was a court order for a certain amount of time. Within that certain amount of time, some other legal things transpired, which wouldn't have really behooved me to try to enact into a custody battle at the time. So we didn't, but we had a relationship that was different than the beginning. You know, we had not talked and came back and talked, and we spoke now. We hung out and, you know, we put a positive spin on it for the two children that were involved. You know, they don't hate each other. We're cool. We do stuff, dinner, yada, family events. And so the last 4 years have been a lot of that, you know, as single people who come together because we're married, we're family. So we come to family events, we do Easters, we do, you know, we take trips. So
Yeah.
like my daughter's coming, y'all are more than welcome. Standard for life.
Sorry, so clarification, your ex-partner has another child as well?
Yeah.
Got you. And so you're saying you would incorporate everybody into...
Got to.
Yeah.
That came with my situation. That don't come with everybody's situation.
Right.
Like I said, I was married. So some people that just have a child is slightly different mentality on it. But that's me. That's why I say it's really person to person. It's very situational.
Got you. Okay. All right, so I've known you as a person who moves solo oftentimes. You'll come to an event and you'll be by yourself. Or you'll be with people, you know everybody. You know what I'm saying? You mix and mingle, you mix crowds. But thinking of when we first met, you were on a bike. And you would pull up and be on a bike in the crew, but definitely move solo. And so I think of that, and then I think of the question I want to ask you in terms of dealing with mental health or dealing with the situations, the emotional strain that you're going through. How do you make sure that your palate is clean before you pick up your daughter? When I say palate is clean, that you're stress-free, that you're decompressed.
That's a heavy question. And I'm not. I'm not. Like, it's not like you just wipe away the past. I haven't seen my daughter 10 days or 7 days type of thing just because they were busy. I couldn't get out there. Wasn't my time anyway. You know, like I said, there's no standing order, but there's a rhythm.
Right.
And, you know, it can change. It could be amended. It could be, you know, worked with and communicated about. But, yeah, there's a rhythm. So it's like when there are the gaps between whatever Wednesday and the next time, I slide up there. You know, the management of my time as an individual is whatever it is, lifestyle to lifestyle.
Yeah.
And with me, that could change
Yeah.
day to day.
Yeah, that's done. So that's interesting. So yeah, so cleaning the palate and like, what do you do with the time and finding counsel and everything?
water.
Go ahead, grab a sip of water.
Let me grab a sip.
That's chapter 2 of this portion, right? Where thinking about that free time that you have, how do you make sure that you don't stab yourself with the second arrow? And I say that as a metaphor of like, how do you make sure during that idle time you don't do anything that worsens your health, you know, put yourself in a bad predicament?
I mean, that question's got some duality considering COVID and whatnot right now. So everybody's taking extra precautions just on that. So staying like mentally and emotionally clean is different kind of than like lifestyle stuff, especially like demographically where we at. Everybody lifestyle is could be whatever. You know, a suspect to somebody. We all got our vices. We all do what we do. We all come from who we come from and know who we know on the other side. And, you know, can those things affect your life without you intentionally doing something? Absolutely. Can your intentions and your choices add to that? Absolutely. Ultimately, like, I'm almost 40. I got to make adult decisions within having my fun. Do I get outside myself sometimes? Of course. It's my favorite.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just got to make it home. And like you say, how do you keep it clean? Like, either be clean or be balanced or be good at it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, and then
Be good or be good at it. Age-old fables
Be good if
stand
you wanna do
true.
bad. Yeah.
They stand the test of time.
The other side of that question is, how do you be a better father from afar?
Coldest shit is I'm really starting to realize it's not really what you do. It's what you don't do.
Meaning?
It's the responsibilities that you don't, as an ex, as a single person, don't think you actually have anymore. And just had this weird ass epiphany about that recently. You know, just replaying some convos, thinking about things. Like you said, the holidays just passed. Then it's my daughter's birthday. So it's been a straight 4 months, plus summertime, plus trips, 7 months, whatever, of, you know, different consistency. And then things can change at any minute. You know, your ex can become involved with somebody at any minute. That different things can happen and change the way the dynamics just were at any time. So navigating through that as two single people, however long you've been single in your situation, plays with those heartstrings different.
Yeah.
Either it does or it doesn't, but different things happen, and that those also will change the dynamics with your child. So now you got a co-parent and a stranger, or you get yourself a stranger,
Yeah.
or you do something else.
Yeah.
You know, everything has a piece in it. And there's so many pieces that you may not recognize certain things are your responsibility to that other adult and their life. And, you know, I ultimately realized that sometimes I'm selfish because I'm stuck in where I'm at with it. So that's why I say it's not a regret or a resentment, because I accept it, but it's still painful to be like why I can't just pick her up from school today. Because maybe I have plans, or maybe something else that we haven't talked about, or maybe she's in trouble. You know, these other things that we don't even realize that as not being day to day, we miss. And I just want my weekends and my this and my that. And I'm not being as responsible as I should be to the other party.
Gotcha. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, and it's not cut and dry. It's not just like pick up child. Yeah, you can't just jump in somebody's life and be like, all right, now it's time. You said it's what you don't do, meaning like
the responsibilities you don't have, the compassion, consideration at times for the other parent, for the things that could be selfish. Like, it's just kind of like, I don't get this amount of time, so when I want this.
Yeah.
Or I want to do this, or I want to do this. And then you don't really realize how many I statements you're making in that kind of level. And then it's like, well, me and her. But again, it's different person to person because I'm also with the full family inclusion.
Yeah.
So there's levels to it. But like I said, those things can change at any time.
This realization, it seems like it came over time. Is there anything that you could have done to speed up this education process?
All right, so we'll direct this, I guess, to the viewers at this point. That's a great question of how to get the tools, right?
Yeah.
We talked about support. Those people you talk to that are older than you or your peers or people that have information and experience on it, they're going to tell you certain things. And oftentimes we get caught up in the stories. Same as how this conversation goes. We have a little question and we get a story.
Right.
You got to kind of take the lesson out of those stories as you're getting them before you got to actually live them. And it's difficult. I haven't been able to do it myself. I've watched this particular thing that I'm doing happened many times to people who I've spoke to about it, and I watched them and I saw it, and in my mind, oh, I'm not doing that, when I could have been getting the tools of how, okay, well, when I do my thing, I'm going to try not to do that part of it.
Right.
Identifying those parts of it is difficult. Getting those distinct tools, like, we call them tools, they really are tools. When you go in Home Depot and you know you need a drill,
You're looking specific.
you buy you a drill.
Yeah.
Then you get home and be like, oh, I need a drill bit. Then you get back and you be like, damn, I need a different drill bit. Now, before you know it, you've accumulated all these tools over time after having to learn a lesson kind of the hard way, because you didn't do research, or you didn't absorb the information as it was coming to you for what tools you're going to need for this project. So how do you get the tools? You pay attention intentionally when they in your face, because they've been in our faces.
Yeah.
I grew up in what would have given me most of the tools, and I used a lot of what I grew up in as my tools, and some of them drill bits ain't fit.
How were you raised?
Shit, I could talk about my story all day. So look, I was raised by moms. Moms went 3 for 3.
Yeah.
You know, we all got personal dads out here.
Okay.
You know, and then kind of more raised by my big sister. She had the same championship, 3 for 3.
Okay.
So it's like, to me, a norm, but it was a norm I didn't really want. I wanted to be like a real dad. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have that. My sisters did. You know, my nephews is kind of whatever. So it's like, you know, those were other tools that I was picking up. Some of them drill bits ain't fit because, you know, situation, person to person too.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's another way to get them tools, is to think back on your family traumas that we ultimately perpetuate in our relationships. No matter what you think, you're going to one day look back on it and be like, damn, I'm kind of like my dad. I'm kind of like my mom, or I'm kind of like both. You know, you can have all the good parts of somebody. You're going to look on some stories and be like, damn, I got the bad parts too.
Picked up some of them tools I didn't want.
And it's bittersweet. Like my daughter's all me. That may not be a good thing all the time.
Right.
Like from the facial expressions to, she don't got my temper, but the attitude and the mannerisms is so deep. It's in there somewhere. We don't want to see that on her. So how does she get the tools to know that she need to take that one out of her bag? I don't know how to teach her that, because I couldn't take them bad tools out my bag. I still got the old hammer. I bought some new hammers. Why I still got that old hammer? Man, it's nostalgic.
That was the first one. I hold on to it. I don't know how to let go. Have you ever done the counseling, like traditional counseling, or any books, meditation, podcasts, any suggestions like that?
See, again, it's like person to person. Certain things are different for certain people. Like I kind of can't really do it, but that's my personal thing related to my own mental health and who I am. And I'm better off with like non-traditional. I don't think there's a licensed therapist that identifies as well with me as I think I would need a therapist to. You shouldn't be able to shock them, or maybe you should. You got to think about that too. Is like, you're supposed to listen unbiasedly as a therapist or whatever, but you still got to be human. So for a person to tell you something that would shock most people that's supposed to be normal, and I'm in here trying to get my normal up, and you ain't shocked, you might not be the right person to talk to. So it goes between not having that emotional response, and it's just the couple times I tried it, it's just I don't feel related to on a level. Or then you got the person that you tell a story and they're like, shocked. You feel me? It's like, is that the right response? So that's always something that, you know, again, person to person, in my mental health in my head. Yeah. I'd rather talk to somebody who knows me. Because, you know, even though a lot of people don't tell me a lot of stuff about myself, like some people will, and I know that when I say certain things that I was actually heard, and it don't just sound like off the wall crazy.
Right. I mean, it does have to serve you. I mean, again, if you're reaching out for resources, the resources have to serve you.
That's ultimately what I was saying. It don't serve me as well as maybe some people, but I have tried. I've tried conventional personal therapy as well as prior to divorce, some couple stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as long as the effort is there, the experimentation, and like, I'm sure that it ties into how you have landed at the spot that you're at now. And and knowing where you're at and what you're, I love the fact that you've come here and you've spoken to us and you've been open about it, and knowing that you're in the middle of it. You know, with a 7-year-old, you're in the middle of it, of raising a young person. You know,
and I mean, ultimately, you know, I'm familiar with Dads Evoking Change. I'm familiar with one of the attorneys, and actually, until you said that, I didn't even know. Like, I watched it. You know me, I only catch certain parts. I got a lot going on. Yeah. So, you know, I saw the homies talking about a topic that relates, and I was like, man, I should get on there too. But to know that also, you know, is great. I'm glad that, you know, it's going to get through to a lot of people. You know, Dads Evoking Change has a nice base already, so some people are going to see this, and I hope it's helpful.
Yeah, it's going to resonate. It's definitely going to resonate. I wanted to, before we conclude, the final question I wanted to ask you is that, as a father, what's your end goal, and how do you get there?
As a father, end goal has always been to, like I said, it's just the tools, instilling the right tools, helping to get the bad tools out the bag that come with the DNA, and making a person that's gonna ultimately be good to the world. Like, these the next us. These are the next people that's gonna be out here doing any one thing. I want to pick up some of the lag, you know, in our community. We have, you know, we start at a different level of financial life and poverty and whatnot. Kind of try to cut that out. See if we get through high school and college without having to think about bills. Change that mental dynamic. Take away some of her catch up. You know, maybe not have no lag or no catch up for her. Put her in a better position to be able to flourish and not worry. Yeah, man, I just want to raise a better human. And personally, yeah, for sure that I am. Not to talk about myself, I'm amazing and whatnot, but I got certain flaws that she don't need, and I got certain experiences she don't need to actually have. And that's what we really all want for our kids, your nephews. Hey, I already did that. Don't even go over there.
Yeah.
It's not cool. Trust me. You don't have to see it. Let's just go somewhere cool. Because that has been something that I've deduced as the alternative. Is we have a lot of uncles and cousins and they can tell us, they can't really take us out of it. Yeah. So if all the homies are going down the street every day and you just keep telling me not to go down the street and I just have to sit in the house, one of these days I'm going to go down the street unless you take me down a different street.
Yeah. Especially if this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. So I try to change our norms. That's why we do so many different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want things that aren't special to look so special because you never did them. I want her to say, nah, I did that. Let's see something new. Like, my daughter loves learning about animals now. I got her hooked on National Geographic. She loves animals, and I nurture all of that. She wants to be a veterinarian until she changes her mind. We playing with animals till you change your mind. We'll switch it up.
Yep.
Soon as you want something else, we just go knock it out. But she's been on that one forever. We've had like rabbits, turtles. We got snakes now. She's super into reptiles and like scary animals from Australia. So I'm nurturing all that. She wants to play basketball. She likes gymnastics. She likes the ballet. Like, she likes some of the extracurriculars that aren't always the norm already. You know what I'm saying? Like snow and traveling, things that some people aren't able to do. I'm glad that I'm in a different position and that we can at least have that sometimes, because that's, like I said, the other street. You know, because sometimes these, at some point in time, these unfavorable things are going to start to happen. Like you say, you're in the middle of it. She's still fresh right now. Over the next few years, things are going to change. Influences are going to be different. You know, 2 single parents with different lives going on. Things are going to change. Dynamics are going to change. That are also going to be transitions for her. So that's a part of the responsibility. Is, like you said, how do you make sure that the things you're doing in your outside life aren't negatively affecting your daughter while still living? You just got to go outside. Because what would be the alternative? Like you say, when we take it back to my life, like my mom kind of stopped going outside. Just nope, just kids. This is life, but we inside. So at some point, as them kids, if we can't go nowhere else, we're gonna go to our version of outside. So I'm just trying to help shape her version of what's cool outside, so that somebody else can't.
Bingo.
That might be selfish too, but that's one of them selfish things I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna have this one.
we gonna run this
I'm
one.
gonna have this one. No, I mean, I'm a much better father outside the house than I am inside the house, and it's a matter of just stimulation. I was an outside kid, and so I know the playground, and so I can show you this better than I can show you some of the things in the house.
Yeah, but I mean, even metaphorically, like it's more than just being, outside doing something. It's outside of the norms, outside of the boxes, outside of the traumas.
Expansion.
The traumas happen inside, in them comfort zones. We don't grow here. We die here. We got to change the box. Got to change the comfort zones, because what our parents was comfortable with wasn't comfortable to us, which is why our generation is we're not the most rebellious generation. That's not what I'm saying. But rebelling against the norms. We the first heavy super entrepreneur generation in a long time, because the first generation that did entrepreneurship made the jobs our parents had. And now those are the jobs we don't really want. So now we're reshaping what outside looks like to us, and at the same time for our children.
It all ties together. That's something I'm grappling with myself. Definitely. The work. Mm-hmm. The work is on all levels, man. But yeah, I think, it should be said is that I asked you what your goal is and how do you get there, and it should be acknowledged that you are at your goal and you're doing it constantly. You are fathering, you are raising. It is ing. It is happening. So,
and I mean that's the best thing I could hope that it looks like, because back on the topic, it's a hard thing. There is a whole nother side of the story, and there's a whole nother narrative, and we don't control that one.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear it, and it again goes back to the first question is of like I say, like sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing the best I could be doing, and it's good to be able to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's supportive. That's where the support really genuinely comes from. Is like, like I say, I make it look good on the gram, but I still had to do the shit.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do it for the gram.
Yeah.
I just put it on there
Yeah.
for the other people who also I'm responsible for that don't get to see my daughter. Because, now you got two families instead of just one big family. So I got responsibilities to my cousins and her little cousins. Like, you don't just want to sit in the house with me. Yeah. Like, we could do whatever. You want to fly to Paris for 6 hours? You son of a bitch, I'm in.
That's a dad for you.
You know what I'm
that
saying?
Dragon,
Like,
that dragon,
that's
I'll get you
it.
that dragon.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I got a whole week or 10 days to get my money back to have this one weekend a thing you want to do. Of course we're flying the fucking dragon.
Yeah.
Sir, how much is the dragon? Let's get two of them.
Let's get two of them. Appreciate you, G.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just, and even on some, not even being hella facetious on no bullshit level, man, it don't got to be the dragons. Because everything's a dragon to somebody. And to what's a dragon to your kid is going to be something that you could do. So don't get just like, oh, I can't go ball out at Disneyland. They don't even really want that. Go to the Alameda Beach and stay there for a minute and fucking just play with them. Put your phone down and actually shovel the sand. And you went to Dragon World, Disneyland. You did it, Dad.
That's My thing is get a cheap slice of pizza and go to the
it.
airport and watch airplanes take off. The dragons flying. Yep,
Killing it.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, man. Much appreciated for your time. Dads Evoking Change. My name is Pendarvis Harshaw, sitting here with G. Stay Diff Studios. Thank you. We out.